So how do I skip to the next slide?
So press there. Oh, we can use the arrow key.
Okay,
there.
easy.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, hey guys. Yeah, I'm Tyson talking about my 3D printing. So I've basically just been thinking of trying to get ways to encourage kids to use math more than just trying to wing it like I kind of do with my lesson planning. So I actually had an idea with these. Everybody's seen them. They the Tupperware Shapewear balls. So the old school toys. Everybody had one as a kid. But before I get too far into that, I'll just tell you guys a bit about myself. So I've only been teaching 2 years. My second year now. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit nervous. You guys all probably are experts, and I'm sort of lowly second year. But I'm not actually a D&T teacher. So I have no qualification in D&T, no work experience. I've not done anything with CAD. But I'm teaching it anyway. You can see there at the bottom, never used a 3D printer before. I had to learn pretty quickly. So, yeah. So essentially just I thought I'd show some of the curriculum links. So looking at design technologies, decided to go with the materials technology specialization. It seemed the most fitting. You guys, I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with this, so I don't want to look at it for too long. I don't know how clear it actually is anyway, but interesting though is looking at numeracy and the ICT general capabilities. Because if you go through and look at them, it specifically mentions quite often, 3D modeling, 3D dimensions, technical drawings, all that sort of stuff that you would expect to see in a CAD course, which is what I'm teaching. I'm teaching CAD, but if you didn't catch that. Same thing in the ICT, simulations, drawings, models, models. It's just quite interesting to see that. So this is the task. Essentially set it up that they like 3D printer technicians, and they had a customer come in with them with one of these, and they said, "Dog keeps chewing up the parts. Dang dog, I really like the toy, but I don't want to keep replacing them. So can you print me off some spare parts? But don't print the square because somehow I've got lots and lots of them." The reason for that was because I'd already gone through and modeled for them how to do the square, and I didn't want them to just copy mine. So there's a couple of things that setting that up does. It gives them a couple of constraints that they can recognize. So a couple of parts there. Has to be one of the shapes that originally exists in the kit. So I took the kit into class. They were able to make measurements with it. Obviously can't be square, said that already. And obviously it has to be pretty close to the original shape. So if you go back to the bottom there, if it doesn't fit in the hole, she won't pay for it. So it gets you thinking about, if you don't make it the wrong, try again. If you don't make it the right size, it's not going to work. So really, you have to do it properly. So what did this end up looking like? So there's a triangle. I don't have one there. But what do we need to measure? The obvious, you've got to measure the sides of the triangle. What else? That's not it. Anybody want to take a guess? Another measurement we need to make? Depth, okay. Anything else?
The internal depth.
How thick it is, and the internal depth as well. Yeah. A lot of the kids didn't think of these. Good thing that I did. The thickness I measured for them with a vernier caliper because I didn't have the time to teach them how to use one of them. But the rest of them I expected to make themselves and come up with a proper technical drawing. Just to make that a little bit bigger, just to sort of see what I was expecting from them. And yes, I did do the isometric drawing wrong. Okay, so going from there, we're talking about math, so where is the math in this? We're already talking measurements, yeah, that's math in a sense, but really, yeah, I don't really consider that math in a sense. So where are we going with this? It comes down to when we go to draw this. I don't know how clear that picture is, but if we say we measured it and that's 30 centimeters, a lot of drawing software, if you go to just draw a triangle that's 30 centimeters, it actually goes from the center out to the point, and it's a radius that captures the whole triangle. So if they did that, I'll actually show I got a picture there. Instead of 30 centimeters, it's 52. It's almost 4 times bigger than it needs to be. It's not going to fit. So how do we fix that? So they're the 3 obvious ones, by the way. There's a couple of easier shapes where you don't need trigonometry, but take a look. Let's go to the triangle. So if we go from the center out to the edges, we've got a triangle that looks kind of like that. And we can do some fun trigonometry to get an answer. Simple, cos, SOHCAHTOA. Hopefully by year 10 most of them do know that. And I have got differentiation strategies just in case, and I'll cover them at the end. But try it again and look at that. I don't think you're going to get much closer than that just from a guess. So unless customer really cares about 0.001 millimeters, I'm pretty happy with that. Just to give an idea of what the other two look like, there's your pentagon. And then your hexagon. Hexagons, a perfect hexagon is made up of equilateral triangles. And that's quite convenient because it means that if they do just guess 30 with a hexagon, it works out. So it sort of makes sense that you can use the hexagon as a bit of a differentiation technique. If you've got kids that are going to struggle with the math, get them to do the hexagon. Or one of the easier shapes, something like the plus sign, they literally just measure each side and they just draw in the edges. Harder one is something like a star. Now the reason that the star is tricky because at a glance it's kind of hard to see how to do that. So you got to think a little bit differently. But really, if I draw on this, will it work? I think I got it.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so really, if you just think about your star as being two pentagons, so you have to put one inside the other and then cut all the lines away, and you'll end up with your star. A couple of differentiation things I did there as well is I basically put a triangle solver up for them as well and connect. So those that didn't know the trigonometry or were going to struggle with it were going to be left in the cold if they wanted to do a harder shape. So, and there's basically a couple of the examples. Mine is the square. So that's me. I made that one. And the rest of them is all student work. So that gives you an idea of how some of them turned out compared to mine. Like you'll notice that this one here, the edges are really thin, and this one is way too big, but that's okay. So that finishes me off there. Yeah. Was there any questions? Anybody want to have a look at some of them, or?
Do they work?
Do they? Yeah,
they work in the toy?
Some of them fit. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Do we want to keep those? No, I'm going to discard them. Next up, we have Rachel Whitney-Smith. Rachel works for Marwa. Her presentation today will focus on the colour of mathematics and bringing the subject to life. Do you have your presentation here? You can say no, but I've encountered a problem.
Okay.
Let's go. No, don't tell me. Okay. That's all right.
Just out of interest before I start, how many maths teachers have I got here? Don't be afraid. Quite a few. That's really good from my point of view. Obviously working at the Mathematical Association, it's really great to see maths teachers embracing STEAM and STEM. We're finding on a lot of the projects, we're working on a project at the moment on the STEM learning project, and we're finding a lot of resilience in mathematics departments to actually embrace doing some of the project-based learning with STEM. So
we're just downloading the PowerPoint.
Thursday is aimed predominantly at leaders, heads of department, the big picture. We've got industry coming and painting a picture on what is STEM, what we need STEM, given that STEM, as opposed to STEAM, is an industry coin term, and it's coming from that idea from an operation perspective as opposed to the creativity that exists within STEAM. The Friday is then aimed more towards teachers having lots of workshops. So interested in people coming along, also those that are interested in running some of the company during the hire. Think about it.
Just give them some sort of okay. Next presentation, next up. Someone who's a digital specialist here at SciTech, who is the go-to. But you may have already had a masterclass with her. She is here to tell us how to effectively use Pinterest to enhance our teaching. Thank you.
Will you be horribly offended if I say the word art a lot? Hey guys, how's it going this evening? As Steve said, I am Kirsten Coventry. It's a pleasure to be here. I get very, 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 very excited about all things social and digital. So I'm going to talk to you about Pinterest and whether it can be used as a professional development and learning tool, or whether it is really all just like wedding dresses and cupcakes, because there's a lot of that on there, which if you're interested in, talk to me later. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about what Pinterest is. So does anyone here use Pinterest? Do you use it personally or professionally? Both? Oh, that's so exciting to hear. So first of all, Pinterest, what is it? It is a social networking site, and the concept behind which is basically like bookmarking images. So it's really similar to the blog roll site Tumblr, except it's way more organized and structured and focused really purely on visual content, which is really exciting. The concept is really, really simple. You hop on Pinterest, you create an account, and then you just start making like virtual pin boards for yourself with images that you save from websites and attach to those. According to Pinterest's social media platform, make the 10 million unique visitors mark. It's so very, very visual. So in addition to pictures on Pinterest, you can videos, you can recipes, and pin up. I would say it's not dresses. A lot of us do have pictures of pretty dresses in them. Every item that you choose to pin effectively becomes a digital bookmark that you can then use to follow backwards. So every pin is linked to your website. Links carried by others, so you can read some. One of the things I realized most use theme boards. So I know I've talked already extensively in about a minute and a half about how I like using Pinterest for dresses and cupcakes, but you can have them based on things that you're really interested in. How can Pinterest be used for learning? There's lots of different ways. The sort of three key ones that I want to talk to you about in the next few minutes are lesson planning, project-based learning, and sharing ideas. At first glance, Pinterest doesn't really seem like the service that you would use in an academic setting or for professional development. But teachers around the world have hopped on Pinterest, and it's really exciting to see how it's being used. It's not just being used to share ideas or to create or share lesson resources, but the notice board style of Pinterest really allows for much better organization of ideas and images than any other social platforms like Facebook and Twitter, where I know a lot of teachers are on information about a certain topic or a particular theme, so animal adaptations or the ocean. The images I've used are more for kindergarten, but it can be used at any level. Basically, what I've done is I just included like an example of a little journey that I went on Pinterest when I put this together about 2 days ago. So I think I Googled ocean facts for kids, and you can see all of the different sort of resources that pop up immediately. There's printables, there's sort of arts and crafts activities, there's fact sheets. So I went down about one scroll, and I found something that looked really interesting to me. Let's learn about stingrays, because I love things water, although they terrify me as well. And so basically what happened was I clicked on the pin, and then it took me to a website where the writer had shared her experience from a recent media event at her local aquarium, which had a bunch of really cool facts about stingrays. So I now know that stingrays do not have bones, which is fascinating in the kind of journey you can go on if you're looking for content to plan lessons. Project-based learning, I think this is sort of the most exciting potential that Pinterest offers, particularly at like a secondary level. You can't really invite students to use Pinterest at kindergarten because they'll get very confused. So with Pinterest, you're able to organize boards, but it's really exciting because you can invite people to collaborate with you. So there are some really exciting examples of teachers using it to plan projects, but also inviting students to collaborate with them on Pinterest as well. So there are examples of it being used in like a live event in the classroom, asking students to all hop on and collaborate and contribute their own unique images. And then it's really easy to go back and find the source of all of the information by just clicking on the pin, which can save a lot of time for teachers if you want to like double check something or look for the source of information. And then when you have boards that are categorized for projects, again, these are sort of examples for younger level, but you could, Earth Day, for example, plan something with teachers. You can look at all the different activities that other people are You can look at all of the different activities that other teachers are planning on Pinterest, or they're examples of very specific lesson plans that are up there that people have worked on developing together. And so different teachers will contribute to different projects or activities that they've done in class, saying, this is what we did, this is what worked for us. And it's really exciting in that way, being able to work with other people. And then the last of the three is sharing ideas. This really is the core focus of Pinterest. It's all about sharing content and sharing ideas, which is quite different from content aggregators because there's more flexibility with being able to give back instead of just seeing like a stream of content and stuff that you kind of see and forget about. So the other thing, I know that social media and being a teacher is a really fun topic to talk about. As a public and activity-limited social networking platform, it's not as dangerous as some of the other platforms. So some of the concerns that educators have are a little alleviated with Pinterest because there's not a lot that you can do and it is very public. So sites such as Facebook, they don't offer the same kind of opportunities, which I find really exciting. Just gonna skip ahead. What do I want you to do? Go and try it. Hop on Pinterest. Start searching terms, start making boards, see what other examples of content or teachers you can find. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do on Pinterest that I did not have time to talk about, but collaborating with other educators, finding tutorials, it's really fun to stay on top of educational trends on Pinterest because people are really, really active in sharing their new content all of the time. And I think that's me. Any questions? Cool.
Yeah, who are you on Pinterest? How do we find you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
My personal Pinterest is very well hidden because it brings me deep shame because it's really, really pink and fluffy. You can find me on Twitter at Content Elephant, where I share lots of really cool educational resources. I could probably direct you to my Pinterest, but you see a lot of wedding boards and more wedding boards. And so it's not in cards, but it's just really fun to look at.
Fantastic. Rachel, are we okay to hand over to you?
Technology's let me down, so I haven't got my cord for my iPad.
Oh, right.
My iPad's, I've been using it all day,
So it's an iPad that you need
Mac.
a Mac connector?
Someone's got an Apple.
You got a HDMI.
You need an
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go on?
Um,